Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous Roundtable gets together. We'll see what's on their minds. But a lot of great guest information coming your way in between now and then, including a look at what's going on at UNCG these days. We'll meet the new mayor-elect of High Point, and we'll talk about road safety, a specific kind of device that we think all tractor trailers should have installed to protect the rest of us. We'll get into all that. But first we start about talking about a serious topic with a good friend of the show's. And on my right, of course, our good friend, David Mounts, who is Chairman and CEO of INMAR, and welcome back again, sir.
Good to see you, Jim.
Normally, we're here talking about technology. We're here talking about working with youth. We're here talking about all these positive things. Not that what we're going to talk about, you're taking some positive steps, but it's a very serious, troubling thing we're talking about. And I didn't know until you emailed me the other day that you're doing something about that. That's the opioid crisis. Before we talk about what INMAR is doing, what your ideas are, how bad is that crisis? How bad is the problem?
It's a devastating crisis. We estimate that there's about a 75 billion or greater impact to the economy from the opioid crisis. The problem is exacerbated by the fact that we have the baby boomers aging. They're being followed by a smaller generation. And we're losing a lot of people in that generation early because of the opioid crisis. And so it's a complicated issue. There's no single answers, but there are some common sense solutions that we can implement.
And of course, there are a lot of opioids. I'm not an expert on this, but I mean everything from heroin on down to just regular pain pills that you get from the doctor. Now, what is INMAR's plan to try to abate this situation, to try to help the problem a little bit?
So we are experts in the reverse logistics execution around all forms of medicine, including controlled substances.
And tell folks why that is, in case they haven't seen one of our segments before.
Yeah, INMAR is in servicing pharmacies, and when drugs expire or need to be taken out of the pharmacy supply chain, they send those to INMAR. We have one of the most automated and advanced facilities in the world for managing that, and we execute the managing those down to the pill and even to the ounce level for liquids.
And so now you're going to do this for a consumer level, a take-back thing.
Well, we're going to do a drug take-back. What we're doing is we're installing receptacles in pharmacy. As you know, today most drug take-back programs become sort of an event run by the police department or the fire department or in the community, and they happen maybe once every 6 months.
Right.
We believe that there needs to be availability to take drugs back every day. So we've begun installing receptacles at the pharmacy, and these receptacles, you can go as a consumer, put your sealed medicine in there anonymously, drop it in the receptacle, and it will come back to INMAR and be processed for incineration.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you, saying anonymously. Maybe I don't want everybody seeing me, pull up one of these sites. We'll tell people where they can drop them off in a minute. But, I don't want people knowing that I'm doing that. But it's protected, my privacy, right?
Well, everyone has some number of medicines in their cabinet that they didn't need to use all of them. And so what you don't want to do is leave these medicines in a way that they could be diverted or somebody could take them. Many young people that experienced their first opioid addiction got the medicine from a family member or took it out of a medicine cabinet.
So it was legally prescribed?
It was legally prescribed, and so what we're trying to do is create awareness to get these medicines out of your cabinet, get them returned. If you are done and you do not need them, they do not need to be sitting there. You should return them, and let's handle them in an environmentally friendly way.
I just think that's great. Now, on screen, let me just read out three places that I know of, and correct me if I'm wrong. Louisville Drug Company, Yadkin Valley Pharmacy, and Stanleyville Family Pharmacy, which is actually in Winston-Salem, are three places we know of right now that people can drop these off, and then the pharmacies will get these to INMAR, and you'll do the disposal.
Yeah, you just put them right in the receptacle. When the receptacle's full, the pharmacy technicians will take the sealed bags and send it to us, and it'll be completely handled in a private way.
Up on screen for more information about INMAR and all the great thing the company does and all the great community things, you can see this on screen, www.inmar.com, and for our radio audience, again, inmar.com. David Mounts, thanks once again, doing something great for the community.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, sir. We'll be right back after this. On Triad Today, the elections are behind us. I know a lot of people going, boy, I'm glad that's over. Candidates and voters alike, it seems like we're always campaigning, but we do have a gentleman with us who went through a tough campaign and is now the newly elected mayor of High Point. Let's meet him right now on my right, and he's been on the show before too. We've done some voter education segments together. Jay Wagner, as again, Mayor, City of High Point, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
I'm glad to be here.
For those that might have missed the segment we did when we had you and Bruce Davis and some other candidates on earlier in the year doing voter education and letting people know what the issues are, you and I'll be covering some familiar ground, but maybe for people that missed that, not. One of the big issues, of course, facing High Point is the status of the multi-use stadium project. It's called a lot of different things. Let's remind people how you stand on that and where it stands.
If it's possible to be more than 100% supportive, I'm that. I'm very, very supportive of our downtown stadium project. I've been a revitalization advocate in High Point for well over a decade, and I really think that this is going to be the catalyst that's going to give downtown High Point and the city of High Point a real shot in the arm.
Because it's misnamed sometimes, even in the press. They'll say, oh, it's a baseball stadium. Well, yeah, there's a baseball team committed there, a professional team. But you can do a lot of things in this.
We prefer to call it a multi-use stadium. The primary tenant is going to be a baseball team, but we're going to be able to do football there. We're going to be able to do soccer there, lacrosse. We're going to be able to have concerts. It's going to be designed to be a multi-purpose facility.
And what about, Jay, what about the impact of the economic impact on the area if this thing gets done?
Well, we already have commitments from a hotel developer, Roy Carroll in Greensboro, and from Blue Ridge Companies to build apartments in the area. Dr. Cobain at High Point University has also raised $50 million to build a children's museum and an events center. So what we're doing essentially is when you do revitalization, sooner or later you do it piecemeal, but you achieve kind of a critical mass at some point that's attracting a lot of people.
But at least you've got these pledges. You know this can happen.
So what we're trying to do, since we have the furniture market, we can't really go piecemeal. We're trying to achieve that critical mass essentially all at once. And so in addition to the stadium, these things like the hotel, the apartments, the children's museum, the event center, those are going to be constructed at the same time.
Right.
And so High Point is going to be a very different place in 2 years and certainly in 5 years.
Well, let me ask you this. There's still a sticking point because, look, and I think you're the first to admit, over the last few years anyway, there's been sort of between the Guilford County Commissioners and the High Point City Council, sort of one of these little bit of tension.
There's been a little friction.
And even up to and including this multi-use stadium project about who's going to pay for it, how's it going to get paid, who takes the risk. How's all that going to shape up?
I think that remains to be seen. We've certainly left the door open to them. We would love for them to participate. They delayed giving us an answer basically through the end of the year. We've left the door open to them. We're waiting to hear from them. Obviously, they're going to benefit, the county's going to benefit greatly economically from the additional tax revenue that's going to come from this development.
They're sort of saying, hey, Jay, call me when it's done.
Well, maybe so. We would hope that since they're going to benefit, they would be willing to help us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're hopeful that they'll jump in, but we're prepared to go it alone if we need to because we feel like it's that important for our city in the future.
What other challenges, maybe list a challenge or two quickly before time runs out, that you think the city's facing? What can you do about it?
One of the biggest issues we have is we've really ignored a blight problem in the city of High Point for a long time. We have some poorer neighborhoods where they're burned out houses, they're boarded up houses, just dilapidated housing. And we have really attacked that in the last year and a half. We had a backlog of nearly 250 cases, housing cases, and we're down to about 25 now. So we've really put a lot of money and a lot of effort into addressing those problems. And a lot of that comes from loss of jobs, you know, NAFTA and China and the changing world economy, you know. But we're really trying to get those neighborhoods cleaned up and trying to take a holistic approach to not just revitalizing our downtown, but also revitalizing the neighborhoods around it.
And of course, your advocacy for the multi-use stadium is a big deal, not to keep beating this topic, but I mean, that creates a lot of jobs. Jobs are opportunities, and the blight gets cleared up indirectly, and so.
Well, just imagine being able to come to downtown High Point in 2 years and seeing people walking around and eating a meal outside and taking your kids to get ice cream. It's going to be a very different place.
Well, we appreciate you coming, and once again, congratulations on the victory. And up on screen, the High Point Chamber website, bhpchamber.org, who helped us facilitate this particular segment. Mayor, good to see you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Jim. Thank you.
We'll be right back now on Triad Today, and I'm glad that you folks could be with us for this segment because it's very important. We're going to talk about road safety, but a very specific kind of road safety. With me, two very special guests. Next to me on my right, Dre Flory is Chief Legal Officer, among other things, wears many hats for Columbia Roberts Attorneys at Law. And Michael Hosey is a special guest today. He's Director of Community Engagement, Youth Programs for the National Cycling Center. Welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You see this monstrosity in front of us. I'm not calling you a monstrosity. I'm calling this. It's actually flipped upside down. We put it here so it'll rest easy, but you'll see some footage of it in a second. But it's a device that really needs to be on every tractor trailer, and I'm going to ask Dre why. Why are these guards necessary?
So these tractor trailer side underride guards are devices that help prevent crashes from cars going up under trailers, and also cyclists and pedestrians from getting run over by the back wheels of trailers.
What people would commonly call in a common vernacular a T-bone accident, where you're coming to an intersection or something, there's a big tractor trailer like this, and the bicycle, motorcycle, cyclist would get there and then slide under there or get fatally injured or whatever.
That's one of the most common ways in higher speed settings, but cities have a unique interest in this because as trailers navigate city streets, if they make a right turn or a left turn, the tractor can make the turn just fine, but if you've ever seen tractors, they really swide.
Yeah, they swerve around.
Yeah, they swerve around, and then that trailer can go over the curb, which can run over a cyclist or a pedestrian, and there's nothing to block the person from going up under the rear wheels.
I think I know the answer to this question, but why did you guys at Columbia Roberts get interested in trying to do something about this?
Well, unfortunately, we've interacted with many families who've lost loved ones from this exact event, and also had a lot of clients who were injured, sometimes catastrophically, sometimes really bad brain trauma, and orthopedic injuries that require years of care.
So these guards that go under and on the side of the tractor trailers, they're not required in all 50 states?
They're not. Some cities have implemented city ordinances to require these, and that's really what our push is to bring the cities of North Carolina up to speed and become aware of this problem so they can do things progressively to help ensure that tractor trailers going forward have these on them.
Michael, I know your organization is big on safety, whether it's helmets or just observing various laws and regulations. So how does this sort of fit in? I know you're sort of here to support what Dre's doing today. How does what Columbia Roberts do fit in with your mission?
Well, we're just certainly trying to keep people safe out there on the roads, and our mission is to get more folks on bikes, and we're certainly trying to get a push for for physical activities. But when you're out there riding on the road, it's just extremely important to be safe, and this is one way that cyclists can be a little bit safer out there on the road.
Because you guys tell your members too, I'm assuming, about defensive riding, right? I mean, and watching out for things too.
Absolutely. I mean, there's the rules of the road that a bicycle is a vehicle, and when you're out there on the road, it's important for drivers to know that cyclists have the right to be on the road, but it's also very important for cyclists to know how to make yourself highly visible and to know kind of where to be and what the things to look out for.
Well, Dre, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything specific that Columbia Roberts is trying to do or advocate for to try to get more cities to do the ordinances or to get more truck companies to do this?
Yeah, really, the first step is awareness. Cities can implement ordinances a number of ways. One is they can say all trucks purchased by the city by the year 2020 or something will have these on them. Another is to say all contractors who do business with the city must have these on by some time in the future. The main thing is not to make some burden where everyone has to retrofit these things tomorrow,
right,
but it's just to be forward thinking and understand that this is a need.
It is. Up on screen, if you want more information, CrumleyRoberts.com is a website there. And also, if you want to find out more about Michael's organization, you go to www.usncc.org for the National Cycling Center. Michael, let's get you back sometime to talk about your organization.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And thanks for supporting this effort, too. Thank you, Dre.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today. You can't really see it on camera, but here is my UNCG 125th anniversary pin. I've been around that long myself. I think I'm 125. Before we go to a special guest to tell us what's going on at the university, let's watch this promotional video, give you a feel for what the university is all about.
We strive for something greater, to turn imagination into innovation, to take creativity to new heights, and have the courage to pursue our dreams. We embrace what makes us different, considering, connecting, and engaging to find the value in every person. Where others see obstacles, we see opportunity. We shoot for the moon and we get there. We persevere and see the beauty in resilience. We believe that service transforms our communities, our city, and the world. We are teachers and inventors, philosophers and researchers, historians and artists, entrepreneurs and scientists, performers and athletes, Olympians and Spartans. We were founded to serve, and that's what we've been doing. Opening doors, breaking down barriers, taking giant steps in the pursuit of opportunity and excellence for more than 125 years. We are the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and we're just getting started.
Great video, and next to me is the man who helped oversee that, and he is a great friend to the program. Jeff Schaffer is Associate Vice Chancellor and Chief Communications Officer for UNCG. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. Now, look, you had a Founders Day celebration not too long ago. How did the last Founders Day celebration go?
Yeah, I think it was spectacular. I'm told that it's my first one. I'm told that it was one of the biggest, one of the most exciting that we had. We had Margaret Spellings, the president of the UNC system, was there. The chancellor was there. We had probably 2,000 students and community members show up in the quad to celebrate with music and food and some games. And I think what it did was it really captured the fact that, 125 years in, the place is just getting rolling.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of excitement. And, one of the things we were told by our visitors was, hey, this is a campus that feels happy. It feels like it's on a roll.
It's always something. There's always something going on. And I think it's always been like that to an extent, but really since Chancellor Gilliam got there, and some of the work you're doing, it's really ramped up. And that's not by accident. I mean, I'm not trying to just flatter you, but I mean through the kind of marketing stuff that's going on. It seems to me you're trying to do a lot more outreach to the community.
Yeah, I think that when you look at the strategy of the university and the way that we think about ourselves, we talk a lot about the shared place and fate that we have with the community, with the Triad broadly, with Greensboro specifically. And part of our mission, part of our role is to really be an economic and social engine for this area. And some of what that means is making sure that we tell the story. If we tell the story of the university well, of our momentum, of our growth, 20,000 students, 17 Division I sports, all of this research, $1 billion worth of impact, that shines some light on Greensboro. It shines some light on the Triad, and it benefits all of us. So it's really a very intentional effort to start to tell people about the great work that's going on there and stop making UNCG this sort of best kept secret in the system.
Oh, absolutely. Before time runs out on us, what does the future hold as we look at 2018 and some of the challenges and things you want to do?
Yeah, what we've got to figure out here really is what we know is that when people are connected to us, they like us. Not enough people know who we are. And the people who are just a little bit familiar with us don't have a real distinctive idea about UNCG or frankly about Greensboro. That's the problem we've got to solve. When you shut your eyes and I say UNC Greensboro, what do you picture? And we need to paint that picture for people because there's a tremendous amount going on. Arts and culture, health and wellness, economic growth, job creation, academics. Yeah. So the story is there, and we've just got to start to tell that story for ourselves and for the community.
And all of these things that Jeff's talking about, they're accessible. And that's why I want to put up the website too, because it tells you all about the things going on, not just things, courses and things you can sign up for, but activities as well, uncg.edu. Jeff, thanks for all you do, sir.
Thanks very much. We appreciate it.
All right.
Go Spartans.
All right. So you got the promo in there with that. Well, I'm a Spartan too, so yeah. I can say that. All right, we'll be right back. Now on Triad Today, just about time for the Roundtable. If you want to check out my column, Longworth at Large, you can do it on Tuesdays in the Kernersville News, Wednesdays, Yes Weekly, and all the time on triadtoday.com. Now to the Roundtable. On my right, but always the political left, that man about town, great dresser and award-winning broadcaster journalist Ogie Overman. Next to him, former school superintendent, now professor at High Point University and co-chair of the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners, Don Martin, Dr. Don Martin, and Dr. Keith Granberry. Are you a doctor?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
And Keith, of course, is founder of Helping Hands Consultants, and Keith's doing a lot of traveling around the country now to help with voter registration drives, which I think is admirable. Guys, let's start with something very serious about this Texas church massacre. I don't want to get into a lot of the details, and certainly we all, I think, agree that assault weapons have got to go. But here's a specific question. In the wake of this horrible thing. The Texas State Attorney General actually said that he suggests that people carry concealed weapons when they go into church on Sundays. Any comment on that, Ogie?
Well, is it really going to come to that, Jim? Is that I know there's a school of thought, the NRA pushes it, that we all should be armed. Let's just choose up sides and shoot each other
Because that
until the
guy
last
did.
man is standing.
The guy came out of his house with a rifle and shot
You
at
can
them.
have security. Believe me, they have greeters at churches who are packing heat. They do that. That's being done right now.
But you don't want people bringing.
If people look a little squirrely coming in,
Yeah.
you know, they're aware of it. They have security cameras. Packing heat in church, please.
Don.
Yeah, I just think when you get a lot of people that do not know how to use weapons and turn them sort of loose with that, you end up with other collateral damage and people injured too.
It's going to be worse. Keith.
You can't prepare for an idiot unless you're going to have metal detectors in every church. You cannot prepare for idiots. No matter if you've got a gun or if you don't have a gun, you cannot prepare for someone coming in and doing a random act like that.
You think it's going to come to what Ogie said, have an armed guard at churches?
You have to have metal detectors. Even if you have an armed guard, that does not, is he going to check every individual's purse and person before they come into church? It's impossible.
All right, guys, let's turn to something a little lighter. The elections that were held earlier in the week, local elections, there must have been, just lots of communities voting for council races. Any surprises, Ogie?
I'm surprised. I bet you Mike Barber and Tony Wilkins are surprised in Greensboro.
Yeah.
And you know that I called that dead on the money, too.
You did. So Barber didn't make it.
Barber didn't
Don?
make it. Tony didn't either.
High Point to mayor's race was a lot closer than anticipated, but we'll see how that turns out.
53 votes. Earlier in the show, we had Jay Wagner, the newly elected mayor, but Bruce Davis, I talked to him, and he's still got some time to decide whether he wants to do a recount. So that's going to be interesting. Keith.
I thought Barber, that shocked me, like Ogie said. I'm surprised that he didn't make it.
Yeah,
Really
most incumbents did make it. All right, speaking of politics, we now know that Hillary Clinton's campaign actually funded the DNC last year and, according to some people, rigged the party nomination against my man Bernie Sanders. Now, Trump wants the FBI to investigate this. Should Hillary be charged with voter fraud? Where's it going to go, Ogie?
This is so frivolous, Jim. He is grasping at straws. He's just making a fool of himself. He won.
Yeah.
He won.
Yeah.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
Don, you got to feel bad if you're Bernie.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably not voter fraud, but it clearly was some dirty politics that occurred, and that's probably not against the law.
Mr. Granberry.
Yeah, what else is new? Dirty politics is part of politics. Hillary Clinton saved the DNC last year. They had no money. So if they had no money and Hillary Clinton gave them some money, who was going to control the party?
Yeah. All right, back in January, a Winston-Salem homeless man was severely beaten by 5 teenagers. The boys were given no jail time, but last week the man was found dead of brain injuries they believe suffered during that beating. Guys, should the teenagers now be retried for murder? Ogie.
Is there a way to do that without that being double jeopardy?
I think there is.
If they weren't charged with that, could they charge him with since he died?
Because there was no murder.
Absolutely. If you can do it, I would say do it.
Don.
Yeah, if you can show a close sort of nexus between the injury and his death, absolutely, that's the legal challenge.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Keith.
This is kind of near and dear to my heart. I had a cousin who got beat really bad, and it took them decades, but they never recovered, and they died. And I think you should be charged for murder when you change and affect a whole family's life like that.
There should be no statute of limitations on that either. Over 200 living victims of forced sterilization are still waiting on their final compensation check from the state because several other victims who were denied payment are appealing their case in court. Guys, very quickly, should the state be forced to go ahead now and pay the legally recognized victims the rest of the money? Quickly, Ogie.
Yes, absolutely. We've been talking about this for years, Jim, and they drag their feet over it year after year after year.
Don.
Yes, and people will, the belief is they're going to die before they get their money.
Keith.
How much money are they receiving?
Well, it'd be another, $20,000, something like that.
What's the total amount?
The total amount was 50, I think.
Are we serious right now?
Yeah.
$50,000
It should have been
for a family.
It should have been $1 million.
I mean, and then they're denying people?
Yeah.
Who does that?
No, they're playing politics. The UNC Law School faculty recently called for the Confederate Silent Sam statue to be removed from the campus. But guys, this is a little different. This statue was actually put up not by racists necessarily in the early part of the last century, but it's put up to honor UNC students who died in the Civil War. Quickly, guys, should it be removed? Ogie.
You know what? I'm going to give Silent Sam a pass on this one, Jim. A friend of mine wrote a song about this. I'm familiar with this, and
You're going to say leave it.
I think it's a different situation. Yeah.
Don, Duke University man?
Yeah, I'm not for going back and trying to recreate what occurred 100 years ago, history. However, I do think you can prevent and provide other recognitions of exactly the things that are important to folks.
Keith is getting a call right now from Mars, from the planet Mars. Do you want this statue torn down, or can you take a call? Or
Silent Sam calls.
Silent Sam is calling right now.
Well, you know, when people say that they're not for tearing down history, yeah, that's only part of history. There were a lot of black people, a lot of Indians who were part of that history. Where are their statues? If we could find, if they had statues, then you leave these other people's statues up.
Yeah, Silent Sam needs like a silent partner up there, another statue. All right, finally, guys, a nurse in Oklahoma has been arrested for performing an exorcism on a prisoner in the county jail. Guys, has anyone ever tried to slap the devil out of you, Ogie?
They've tried and succeeded. Yeah.
Don?
I've had maybe a successful, a couple of those.
Yeah, a couple of those. Keith?
I'm pretty sure a lot of people want to.
I didn't say would they like to, because the three of we would like to,
and they would like to.
Yeah, the three of us would like to.
Right.
Well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this: a Florida woman was recently arrested for DWI, but she wasn't driving a car. Instead, she was riding a horse down the middle of the road. Asked why he pulled over the horsewoman, the cop said she was weaving from side to side and her tail light was out. You like that, Don? That was good. All right. For all of us here, Try It Today. I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next time.